Hey there, ho there. It's Cutter Jeff Historical Diamond. I know I'm a little bit off, but it's Jeff Cutter Historical Diamond, and welcome to the next video in my Degrassi series. This time, as I promised, it's the top 25 episodes in my mind about Degrassi from seasons 1 to 18. Degrassi Next Generation from 1 to 7, and then the next iteration of Degrassi from 8 to 14, and then next class 15 to 18. So basically, on the Reddit community, they did every season, what the best episode was, from 1 to 18. And I decided to do that and add 7 episodes that I wanted to add in. There were some seasons that I didn't agree with the winner and added it, but there were a few that I had to keep my eyeballs on. So anyway, let's start fresh from 1 to 25. Here we go. Number 25 is Can't Tell Me Nothing, Season 11. This episode dealt with pill addiction, as Katie was actually being part of a Canadian soccer thing and wanted to get on the national team or get close to it. But unfortunately, her knees gave out and all that, and she took to pain medication that her mom takes for her, I would say, cystic fibrosis. Or cerebral palsy. I think it's cystic fibrosis or something like that. And, her mom has these problems. And we didn't know that Katie's sister would be Maya, who would, of course, be a main character in her own right. So basically, Katie having the pill addiction and all that was huge. Now, I know I struggled to try to find a 25th one. I found it's basically the replacement for the season 11 episode that basically I didn't like. Season 11's winner, so this is what from season 11. And of course, I forgot to mention that the ones from 19 to 25 are my additions. From 1 to 18, I'm doing the Reddit community a good favor, because from 1 to 18, it's going to be basically the winners from season 1 to 18 will be in top 18 no matter what I think. So anyway. Number 24 is Causing a Commotion from season 8. It wasn't completely that I disagreed with the season 8 winner. It was just basically kind of a personal thing for me, because in Causing a Commotion, we found out about Connor and his problems with social aspects, and we found out he had Asperger's syndrome. Snake told Claire that, about the autism and all that. And, of course, as a fellow Aspie sufferer, I felt with Connor and all that. I felt with Connor because, Connor was a decent character, and his character basically was one that basically had troubles dealing with social cues and all that. I mean, he was going after Claire in season 8 and 9, but basically, he wanted Claire. But anyway, Causing a Commotion is the episode when the chef is getting a Teacher of the Year award. I don't know why. I think it was mostly to do with the football team or something like that. And I don't have a clue because, it might have been meant for Hatzalackles, but because Hatzalackles moved to Saskatchewan to deal with her mother, I guess Shep was next in line and they didn't want to give it to someone else. So basically what ends up happening is that Shep does this video and basically insults a lot of people in Degrassi. And the gifted class, Claire, Connor, Ali, and Casey decided to include everything about the chef. And basically the chef is embarrassed and all that, and everyone walks out on him. And chef is forced into sensitivity training and all that. Next is number 23, which was hashtag Throwback Thursday from season 16. It's not that the season 16 winner was bad, but it was good. But I had to fill in a gap. So basically, I thought about this episode from season 16 about throwback. Well, season 16, or as people say, season 2 of Next Class, if you will. But anyway, I'm just saying that. So anyway, Throwback Thursday was supposed to be big because it brought back some former Degrassi actors and in their roles and all that. Basically, this is after Tiny gets suspended for trying to protect Shay from someone and getting a 5-day suspension. Even though Tiny did not want anything to do with the problems, he didn't want the problem affecting everything. The class, basically the school was unhappy with Snake's thing. And basically, mostly because Snake was a little bit more lenient towards Frankie. And Frankie should have been suspended for her insensitive poster. Although, people would say that Shay agreed to the poster too. And basically, it was revenge for the fire alarm thing. But I think Northern Tech should have been in trouble too. But Degrassi was just getting back at them. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, Throwback Thursday was a good episode, but it wasted some cameos, like from Paige, Marco, Emma, Mo, for some reason. Mo. Well, Spinner came in. And of course, Simpson having the problems that everyone wanted to talk about it, but Simpson refused to. And Tristan being a kind of a piece of shit, if you will. That's what people thought. But there's one main focus about that episode, is that I believe Tristan was basically told by Simpson to forgo, basically saying that they're just jealous or something like that. I think Simpson basically influenced Tristan to be a piece of crap and all that. Like, Tristan, I think, kind of gets the idea, but I think Tristan was just made, Simpson told him to use his power and all that. But the episode has a silver lining as Simpson finally realizes he's in the wrong. So anyway, number 22 is the season 14 finale. I forgot to write that down, but anyway, the finale, the two-part finale, had to do with the prom and like another big Degrassi class moving on. It was supposed to be after season 14 that basically Degrassi was going to die off before next class came in. But then, of course, they did that summer spiel about Grace and all that. And then they said, well, and Tristan goes in his vlog, he says, you think it's big in Degrassi? Guess what the new generation will bring. So yeah. But anyways, the finale had Drew basically get in trouble for a moment of affection with Becky with a promposal. That was a prom proposal. Drew is told to stay away from prom. He stays away from prom, but when Dallas realizes that he booked a boat for the wrong date, well, 1 year too late, Drew is a student council president, decides to put the prom on in the school. Miss Pill is not happy about it and basically wants Drew to out people. But Drew refuses to out anybody, so Drew is forced to sit on the sidelines and not be on the stage. He'll get his diploma and all that. Basically, Miss Pill also goes that I have to make sure that everyone plays by my rules and all that. Dallas sees it, but Dallas manages to get the seniors to say, we love you, Drew. Pill relents, saying that the school basically bands together when trouble comes by. So basically, what ends up happening is that, Drew gets his diploma, and basically everyone graduates. Like Claire's group graduates. Claire sees Principal Simpson, who's under investigation, but he's going to actually be in Haiti for some school openings and all that. And Claire wants to know stuff from Principal Simpson because, Principal Simpson helped Darcy when she was at her lowest point. So anyway, the fallout from this episode was that, of course, we got next class, and then Simpson came back. I think Simpson was going to come back from his sabbatical no matter what. And the school board basically just replaced Pill. But also, I think that Drew's mom knew that Pill was just going overboard with her policies. I mean, the backpack and the cell phone policies, I get it. I understand. The cameras thing, that could have used to work too. But Pill used them to spy on her students, basically trying to do a good job. And the no affection policy, I still don't get it. I figured Pill was done for, no matter what. Okay, so anyway, number 21 is Holiday Road Season 9. I know people say, why are you liking this episode? Because the Season 9 episode that was in there was not my cup of tea. I didn't really get it and all that. I'll tell you why, for obvious reasons. But anyway, Holiday Road basically brought Emma fans some closure. Because, Emma was there in Season 8 and 9. She was in college and all that. So basically, in Holiday Road, Emma and Kelly are doing some kind of thing called recycle, like to recycle bikes and like a project. But Kelly's dad was not really happy with the fact that Kelly was wasting his time on something that wasn't going to pay off in the end. And so basically offered Kelly a job up in the Yukon. Kelly accepts the job. Emma's pissed off, mostly because Kelly is taking a job, probably trying to quote unquote sell out. And basically, I think she actually thinks that Kelly's dad is basically not happy with the fact that Emma's being bossy in this relationship. But remember, this is like, what, 2009, 2010-ish? When basically it was still partially wrong for women to have a good thing about a relationship and all that. Thinking that, Emma's being bossy and all that. Emma's relationships are terrible. I did a video about Emma's relationships, so you should watch that. So basically, Emma unfortunately unwittingly tells people that she's not doing well in school because she's chasing friends instead of chasing academics. Because this part of Emma is well known. We now know that Emma is useless without friends. She doesn't have a support group, if you will. I mean, Manny is off in Hollywood. Liberty is in pre-law. So basically, Emma is left sheltered. Friendless. She wants to fit in. She doesn't want people to think she's bland and all that. So basically, she starts to work at the Dot, and then she actually falls in love with Spinner and all that. That marriage was supposed to be like separated and all that, but Throwback Thursday, they're still together. Okay, number 20 is Eye the Tiger season 4. Practically, this is the episode when Jimmy, or Drake as we should know him, comes out of the hospital after being shot by Rick. Of course, we'll talk about Jimmy's thing in Time Stand Still. So anyway, what ends up happening is that Spitter tries to make Jimmy look good and all that. Of course, Spitter's carrying the secret that he may have inadvertently got Jimmy shot by Rick. Because, I'll talk about it in Time Stand Still more. But anyway, Jimmy actually talks about how his life is gone, that basically what he's known for, he can't do anymore. Spitter tries to cheer him up, but Spitter thinks that telling the truth would cheer Jimmy up, and basically saying that, we were in the bathroom, me and Jay, and Rick was in the bathroom too, and we made it look like Jimmy was the one behind the Paint and Feathers prank. Jimmy's upset. The whole student body knows about Spinner's plan to get rid of the grief and basically pin things on Jimmy. It's pretty much apparent to know that Spinner and Jay probably blame Jimmy because, Jimmy switched sides. I mean, like Jimmy was a tormentor of Rick. So anyway, Spinner tries to make nice with Jimmy. Jimmy basically yells at him and says that Spinner wasn't a best friend. A true best friend wouldn't let him to be shot. So basically, Spinner takes him in stride and tells Hatzilakos everything. Actually, he doesn't tell Hatzilakos the fact that he feels guilty that maybe they got Jimmy shot. All that. I don't think she ever knew that. And all that. Spinner and Jay get expelled for their actions and all that. And Spinner has to do a redemption on season 5. Pretty much it. Number 19, and the top one that was not a winner in the Reddit community, is Mother and Child Reunion from season 1. So basically, this was the first ever episode. I mean, the last ever episode I put on the list as well. But anyway, number 1 is, number 19. I had to do the first ever one after Degrassi Junior High and High, and all that, the hiatus. Because it brought back some people from the Degrassi Junior High and High eras, basically celebrating things. Like, the big moment was when Wheels apologized to Lucy for basically getting her in trouble. Like, Wheels drove drunk and got sentenced to jail time and was trying to apologize for his actions. All that. The American viewers didn't see that, but Canada did. Anyway, everyone saw that Emma was being catfished. And this was catfishing before catfishing was popularized more than a decade later. Basically, Emma has her heart on an environmentalist. Probably a young boy. Unfortunately, it was a middle-aged man who basically tricked Emma into meeting up at a hotel. Thankfully, Toby and JT saved the day. So anyway, here's my ranking of like every season winner. Okay, so number 18 is # but none of my business. That was the season 15 winner. And this was the storyline that had to do with female masturbation and all that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a topic that could be talked about, but I'm like, in a high school show? Ugh. I don't know how that won. I just don't know how that won. But I guess that's kind of the weakness of Degrassi season 1 of Next Class, basically. It was weak compared to the other 3 Next Class winners. Okay, so number 17 is Give Me One Reason from season 14. It's the one that Claire goes on a road trip after losing her baby. Now, Claire got pregnant by Drew, or she thought it was by Drew, but it was by Eli. And this was just on the heels after Claire beat cancer, because she had a growth on the back, a lump on her neck, on her back, and it was sarcoma or something like that. So anyway, Claire is upset after losing the baby, and basically that Miss Pill was trying to interfere and help Claire, but Claire, got mad, smashed all the cameras saying that, you can't spy on us. Claire loses her seat as student council and all that. So anyway, yeah, that kind of was weak in my mind. I mean, I didn't get it. Number 16 is Take a Bow from season 11. It was the winner. That was when Fiona basically finally got rid of her alcoholism and basically wanted to make things anew. Fiona, unfortunately, was basically portrayed as a girl who basically had a bad relationship with a boy named Bobby and basically drank to forget it and then, caused a lot of trouble. So yeah, so Fiona wasn't much of a character in my mind. I think she got the help she needed. Number 15 is Jagged Little Pill from season 1. Yeah, I won the season 1 thing. I was actually shocked that Mother and Child Reunion didn't win, but anyway, Jagged Little Pill was the finale. That's when Ashley basically takes ecstasy at a party that she throws, and she invites Jimmy, basically trying to get Jimmy to like her and all that. Unfortunately for her, Jimmy isn't happy with the ecstasy-ridden Ashley, and Ashley and Jimmy break up. Ashley tries desperately to try to get Jimmy back. She couldn't really get a relationship until Craig. It was kind of awkward. And then Ashley turned goth. I think she basically was trying to get at Jimmy for turning her goth and all that, but it didn't work. Number 14 is Beat It from season 9. It's when Riley comes out of the closet finally. Riley's been portrayed as basically a mad, angry homosexual and all that. Basically, quick with his fists. I mean, yeah, if you're called homosexual and all that. Why wouldn't you? So anyway, yeah, Riley was basically the opposite of Marco. Now, the reason why this is low is not because it's of gay issues. It's because it's already been done before, that there was already gay issues in an episode. And that will be coming up later in the playlist. Number 13 is Jane Says from season 8. So basically what ends up happening in Jane Says, the winner from season 8, is that basically Jane, this was on the heels of the Shep coming back from his sensitivity training, that he makes an alumni football game between former students and former teachers or something like that. And Jane still has the problem with her brother Lucas, because Lucas seems to be a piece of crap that doesn't really care about people and all that. And, Jane changed her name because she didn't want to be associated with her brother. But then Jane actually learns that her father was trying to get back in her life. And she realized that her father basically sexually molested her and all that, and Lucas didn't do a damn thing. It's up in the air, but the most common theory is that Lucas was basically wanting so bad to have his father back in his life that he was not willing to listen to Jane and all that. But it came out ahead, and it actually worked against him. Like, I always thought that Lucas's dad basically bribed Lucas, saying that if you don't tell anyone, I will help you out no matter what, with your family and all that. And Lucas finally decides to stand up to his dad, mostly to protect his daughter, that being Isabella, and all that. So basically, Lucas did the right thing. He laments that he should have done anything. The family realized that he's being genuine. And that's the last time we see Lucas. I mean, I would have loved to see how Lucas, repented his problems and all that. Number 12 is When Doves Cry. I know that a lot of people said this should be in the top 10. But anyway, this is the season 2 winner, and that's when we get introduced to Craig, who's basically following along Angie, who is Joey's daughter. But we soon learned there's a family connection, because Craig's dad, Albert, had a wife named Julia, but Julia left Albert to be with Joey, and of course Julia is dead. So anyway, Julia and Joey had Angie and all that. It's not unknown how Julia died and all that, but anyway, I think this was a year before Degrassi Next Generation started, because Joey wasn't sure about dating, like a year after Julia's death and all that, and Angie was like 4 or 5 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, Craig basically gets beaten by his dad, who claims work stress, but basically, it's kind of imperative that Albert is basically beating Craig as revenge for the fact that he's lost Julia. He doesn't want to lose Craig, and basically makes Craig really incompetent. Unfortunately, Craig plays chicken with a train and all that, and Joey finally realizes that Craig is really unstable, so he gets Craig to live with him for a while. Albert tries to make some changes, but Craig doesn't believe him. And of course, Albert dies at the end of season 2, and Craig goes off the rails because he doesn't understand it. He should be happy his dad is dead, but, no. Number 11 is Our Lips Are Sealed from season 5, the season 5 winner. In this episode, this was the fallout after Snake's treat with Miss Hassel-Ackles is found out by Spike. Emma basically couldn't keep it a secret. Snake had a thing with Hassel-Ackles. It was an innocent kiss, but Spike thought otherwise and kicked Snake to the curb. With Snake out of the way, Emma was basically forced to try to pick up the lion's share of things with helping out and all that. And she couldn't control herself. She thought she had lost control of her life, so when Manny tells her that I need to lose weight for a role, Emma decides to take charge of it, basically by stating that, she could do something about it. I mean, she does, tell Manny, what are you doing? You still lose weight. But Manny said, I've lost enough weight, Emma. Basically, Manny was upset that Emma was taking control of it. I think that's why Manny kind of quit, because Emma was taking charge of things. And of course, Emma starts to lose weight herself. She still has that burden of having a relationship with Peter, even though she should not have been close to Peter. I mean, I think her reasoning was that, she still had it for Peter. She wanted a relationship with a boy because, everyone else had one, it seemed. She just wanted to be like everyone else, but she failed miserably. Peter does suggest that, Emma has an eating disorder. Emma has a panic attack, wakes up in the hospital, and says she would beat her eating disorder. And I believe she did, though, too. Proof of that was when in season 7, when she was part of the Purple Dragon thing, lose some weight. Emma wants to lose weight, but then Emma says, fuck it, I'm going to eat whatever I want to eat. So basically, she knows she might be going down the dark path of problems because of her eating disorders and all that. Yeah, I know Pamela was bad, but Peter at least helped Emma with her eating disorder. Number 10 is OMFG. Hashtag OMFG, I should say. This was the season 16 winner. Basically, in this was that, season 16 was contentious with, Frankie and Shay's problems about the racism and all that, and how Shay basically fed Frankie to the wolves, if you will. And then, of course, Degrassi's in the finals against Norman Tack, their old rivals. So basically, there's like a bus trip and all that, and of course, they're still talking about the fallout from Frankie's thing. But thankfully, Degrassi wins the title. But unfortunately, many of their students, including Student Council President Tristan, get in a bus crash, and basically Tristan is put in a coma and all that. And it was scary to see all these students have an accident, and we're like, what's going to happen now? Number 9 is... Did I do 2 numbers? I'm just noticing something. Okay, so anyway, number 9 is Believe. This was the one when Zoe had her big trial in season 13, and basically Becky got shunned. Now, it's basically more for the subplot more than anything else. I know OMFG was huge because of, the Black Lives Matter thing. But I couldn't ignore the fact that Believe had a lot of storylines to it. Zoe being called a slut and all that, and basically saying that she would never have consented to it. Maya going off the rails because of Miles's relationship with Zoe, basically saying it's over. But the main thing is that Becky, is told by her parents to lie to protect Luke because Luke's one of the two co-defendants. And basically they tell Becky that she has an family honor above all else. And Luke even said that he protected Becky one time when Becky accidentally lost their grandmother's ring. But Becky said that she couldn't bear the guilt and told her grandma the next day. Becky was just going with what she's been taught. As a Christian, you have to be honest, truthful, and above all else, think you're better than everyone else. So basically what ends up happening is that Becky gives the testimony, and she actually points fingers at Luke. Luke did tell Becky things, and Becky kind of used it against him. He deserved it. But the worst part about after the thing is that basically Becky's parents refused to have anything to do with her. And it kind of raises the question. It's not about the Christianity thing, because as Christians, they're basically, hypocrites in that. But the fact is, there was complete favoritism towards Luke. You could see it. And basically, Becky had to protect Luke. Unfortunately, she didn't, and her parents basically made her persona non grata. And I also think that Becky's mom has it in for her, because Becky actually dated Adam, and the transgender issues and all that. So that fuck. You shouldn't have been with that transgender kid at all. I think that was just a front. So anyway, number 8 is Pride from season 3. That's when Marco finally comes out of the closet. We saw hints of his homosexuality in seasons 2 and 3, but basically he decides to come out of the closet to his friends. He comes out to Spinner, who basically takes the news not well and writes homophobic things in the bathroom and all that. So basically, Marco feels happy about coming out of the closet. He doesn't tell his parents. Well, he tells his mom in season 4, but I think he got caught or something. I think Marco's dad does find out later on, but Marco's dad had some stupid Italian thing, and I think it was basically his friends. I think it was basically the culture, and his dad would probably be ashamed of Marco. But anyway, Spinner does actually turn around by the end of season 3 and basically helps Marco find a date and all that. So, yeah, Spinner basically was a stereotype, but then he finally became something else. Number 7 is #I'mSleep. Actually, no, I'm going to do a switch up. Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to switch it up. Number 7 is going to be the last ever Degrassi episode, #K Thanks Bye. Basically, it wraps up a few storylines, but still leaves a few storylines open. So basically, everyone's getting ready for graduation from Degrassi. And this is the biggest Degrassi graduating class, as in the cast, ever. It blows over season 7 and season 10 and season 14's graduating classes. But anyway, in the episode K Thanks Bye, there were a few major storylines. One was that Esme was nowhere to be seen in the final month of Degrassi, so she couldn't graduate. And of course, Esme finds a motorcycle to ride Sig with, because she was worried that Sig was going with Maya. Maya went with Sig at prom, but it was by accident. And Maya kept trying to tell Sig, be with Esme, be with Esme. Esme doesn't realize that. Esme still has a problem with Maya because, she saved Maya from I'm Sleep, which I'll talk about the next one. But basically that everyone was paying so much attention to Maya that Esme felt shunned out, and Esme acted out and all that. Esme starts to beat up on Sig, but finally she gets calmed down by the therapist, who said that it's never too late to admit your mistakes. So Esme, we don't know much about her and all that. And the other major thing is that Zoe's ready to make the valedictorian speech. But unfortunately, her mom basically wants nothing to do with her because of her gay relationships and all that. it's more for the fact that Zoe's mom is upset that Zoe isn't getting jobs and all that because of this the sexuality. And I think basically Zoe's mom wrote her daughter like a cash cow and all that, and was upset. And also because being Catholic and all that, the Catholic religion really has no good feelings about homosexuality at all. Like, I know a lot of Catholics and all that. I know their feelings are mixed, but, that church really has it in for homosexuality. And I know what people are going to say is that they should talk. What about the priests and all that crap that happened years and years ago? But that actually was a good thing because now priests have to be careful what they do and all that. They got caught and the whole Catholic religion had to change on the fly and basically try to simulate themselves with people and all that. So anyway, yeah, so basically Zoe's mom was going to come to graduation, but her dad came with all the stuff that she needed for college. She just couldn't. She couldn't face the facts. She couldn't face the shame and all that. I don't think she would have been shamed. But Zoe soon learns that she doesn't need her mom. She has a family. Her classmates are like family. And then, of course, we get this famous montage of, Zoe, was sick and Maya going off to California. Someone in the hospital. I thought it was Esme, but no, it was Grace, because Grace had cystic fibrosis and needed a lung transplant, and she got her lung. She got better and all that. And with Winston and Miles going off to Europe and all that, and Tristan getting his GED. So anyway, let's talk about I'm Sleep. Let's talk about that being number 6 on the list. So basically what ends up happening is that this, of course, season 3 of Next Class was huge because this was the one that Maya started feeling depressed about herself and all that, and she was starting to get into like survivors porn or something. I don't know. That porn, I don't know what, like end games and all that with Syed, and she felt like she needed to do an end. The end to justify the means. So basically what ends up happening is that Maya is ready to kill herself and all that. And she believes she should. So she takes some pills, she tries to get on the bus and all that. She can't fall asleep and she says, I'm doing something wrong. And then she decides to go to the roof to try to kill herself, not giving enough time for the pills to set in. So unfortunately for Maya, then the pills kick in and then she's on the roof, starting to collapse. Fortunately, Sig and Esme figure something was wrong, and Esme tells Sig how to handle Maya trying to kill herself, because Esme's mom killed herself in front of Esme, and Esme kind of knew what to do. Maya, of course, goes to the hospital and all that, and then Tristan wakes up from his comatose mode, wanting pizza, and everyone was mad about him. Tristan came out of a coma. His mind's not 125%. And also, a lot of people said that basically Tristan had it in for Maya because Tristan's had a relationship with his writing teacher, Mr. Gates, and Maya told on him. Tristan was very unappreciative of Maya. Maya was trying to do the right thing, and he was upset. I know Emma is known for trying to do the right thing and getting in trouble, but, Maya, it was justifiable. Emma, not so much. So anyway, that's 6. Number 5 is Standing in the Dark. That's the winner from season 7. That's when Darcy starts her downfall. So Darcy is basically portrayed as a character with high religious opinions and all that. She's kind of like Emma, but in a religious way. So anyway, Darcy goes with Peter, which is toxic because, Peter's last relationship was with Emma. So anyway, Peter and Darcy get together and go to a party. And we don't know this, but a guy comes into the hallway and drops something in a drink. And that was Darcy's drink. Darcy thinks that she and Peter had sex, but then she learned that she got raped and she couldn't handle it. Because, she had a lot to handle. Like the friendship club, like the Christianity club, basically wanted to kick her out. Darcy was trying to be pure and all that. Knowing that she's not pure, she's going to be basically shunned by everybody. And she meant everybody. Practically her parents weren't going to be around her, all that. Darcy, unfortunately, goes into self-loathing. She tries to kill herself in the shower by slitting her wrists. That fails. She tries to jump off the roof, but Manny saves her butt. Basically, she had some problems and all that. She felt like she was a terrible person, and she felt like her family wasn't going to be able to help her. But thankfully, Darcy got the help she needed. Although she accidentally got Mr. Simpson suspended for bad conduct, even though Simpson was trying to help Darcy. And, Darcy did confess that she was just in such a state of mind that she didn't know what to do. And she was afraid of telling her parents. But thankfully, when Darcy goes to Brad Camp and Peter accompanies her, Darcy realizes that she's not taking the rape well. And she finally admits her mistakes, and everyone helps her out. Which is great. And then Darcy goes to Kenya to atone for her mistakes, I guess. Number 4 is My Body is a Cage. It's the episode, the winner from season 10. That's when we find out about Adam and transgender issues. Because we never had a transgender character on Degrassi for the first 9 seasons. And then in season 10, we find this Adam guy basically taping down his breasts and all that. We find out that Adam was a girl named Gracie, who is Drew's sister. But, Adam wanted to be like his brother. And he prefers to be called a boy, and basically gets some nice credence that basically students are not bad towards him, except for Owen and Fitz. And basically Drew is happy. Drew's mom finally admits that, Adam should be a boy and all that, and proud of him. Unfortunately, Adam gets a lot of drama towards him. He gets shot at because a gang member wanted to get revenge for Drew and Bianca killing somebody. Killing somebody. I thought the guy was dead, but I think it was... No, he killed somebody, and then the main defense wanted revenge on Bianca and Drew because, they wanted Drew to pay for his punishment, even though Bianca was the one who basically got Drew to confess everything. I thought Bianca was basically playing Drew like a fiddle, but I found out that Bianca was basically scared that the cops were not going to take her seriously, and I don't think they would have. So anyway, Adam gets shot at. Adam survives that, but Adam unfortunately dies in a texting and driving thing. I mean, it's a sad way to go. I mean, fuck, you couldn't find anything else. I know Adam's actress, and as an actress, wanted to leave the show, but couldn't find something else to go out on, leave for something. Anyway, and that problem manifests itself in number 3. The number 3 story is Rock This Town, season 6. This was when JT got stabbed and died. JT from the start of Next Generation was comic relief, and he had some good storylines. I mean, especially season 5 when he was with Liberty and knocked her up. And of course, they were trying to deal with being teenage parents and all that. Liberty, keeping it secret from her parents because her parents probably would be upset with her. And all that, keeping secret from a lot of people. JT was willing to do whatever it took to be a good dad because JT's dad left him high and dry, and basically JT's mom and him had to be raised by his grandmother. So basically, JT was trying to do everything right. Unfortunately, though, when he takes his job as pharmacist, Jay convinces JT that, he should be selling drugs because he could get money for all the baby stuff. Liberty finds out and basically tells JT to confess everything. So basically, JT learns that his world's crumbling and that he's going to get in a lot of trouble. So he decides to take the pills and try to kill himself to try to get out of it. Unfortunately, he fails. Well, fortunately, he fails. And unfortunately, Liberty breaks off with him. Liberty gets rid of the baby for adoption. JT was just doing what it took. Thankfully, though, Liberty's dad was a lawyer and basically made a plea deal to save JT's ass. So anyway, in season 6, JT gets a relationship with Mia, someone from Lakehurst who had a 2-year-old named Isabella. Liberty felt a little jealous because it's JT's with somebody and a kid. And Liberty probably felt guilty because, JT was willing to do what it took to be a good father figure. Unfortunately, Mia's ex-boyfriend Nick was pissed off and all that, and wanted Lakehurst to destroy him and Degrassi. Now, I blamed Lucas. I thought Lucas was the one who set out the hit and all that, but no, it wasn't Lucas. It was Nick, who basically wanted JT destroyed. JT does realize it and basically wants to be with Liberty and Mia. I think it was basically to save his own hide because he knew Lakehurst was going to destroy him. So, of course, he decides to go try to find Liberty, and then two Lakehurst people pee on his car, and he basically says, something funny, but then one of the boys named Drake Lampley, a redhead, decides to pull a knife and stab JT in the aorta, making him bleed out and killing him instantly. I know Liberty's primal scream was sucky and all that. And one of the other guys was Johnny DeMarco. We didn't know it was Johnny D. Well, Johnny D said that basically he felt shocked because his best friend killed somebody, and Drake Lampley was not involved in the Lakehurst Degrassi. It was random. But it got me thinking, it's possible that Nick wanted JT destroyed and all that, and Drake may have taken the cause. It also makes me worry because, Nick was never mentioned after this episode. And I think that Nick it was a hit, and then Nick got caught, and Nick was sentenced to a long jail sentence for conspiracy. Anyway, JT's death was harmful to a lot of people. Emma took it hard. Now, it wasn't because JT died. It was because she was upset because Manny, who was living with Emma at the time, basically went back to her parents' place. Emma wanted to talk to Manny about this issue. She had Manny as a support person. And Manny didn't give her the time of day. I think Emma was pissed, and mostly because it was an illegal party, if you will, that Manny and Emma threw for Liberty, and Emma probably had to take a lot of repercussions, and she was upset that Manny got off scot-free. But anyway, it is a catalyst because Emma and Manny don't hurt each other anymore. Basically, I think they finally agreed to disagree. And yeah, Liberty took it hard, finally showing some emotion. All that after JT's death. And of course, Toby lost his best friend, and Toby kind of dropped off the face of the earth, if you will. Number 2 is Bittersweet Sympathy. That's the one when Cam kills himself. That's from season 12. So basically, Cam is this hockey player who's away from his parents for the first time, basically going to Degrassi and playing for the Ice Hounds. He's a star athlete, but basically the team gives him crap for basically his puppy dog romance with Maya, who is happy to have a boyfriend and all that. And unfortunately for Maya, Cam was suffering from his team. He's suffering from homesickness. Who wouldn't? And Cam actually tried to injure himself to get him out of playing hockey. And then unfortunately Cam's problems worsened. Maya did help a bit, but basically it didn't work. And Sid basically told Cam to get lost. So Cam basically commits suicide in the J.T. York Memorial Garden, and Eli sees Cam's body and is shocked and all that. A lot of people think that it was a hanging or something like that. But the most common theory is basically Cam had slit his wrist, or he slit himself, or maybe slit his throat. All that. But a lot of people actually did make a point that maybe Cam was poisoned. Because Cam was in the J.T. York Memorial Garden and might have taken some chemicals. As somebody who had worked in a garden center in this summer, 2019, I knew about garden chemicals and all that, and the efficiency and the toxicity of things with working with them. So basically, he might have poisoned himself. Maya at first doesn't seem to give a crap about suicide and all that, but we all know that she's putting on a brave face because, she's worried about Cam. I know that Maya wants to go away from Cam, but basically she can't take herself away from deleting pictures of Cam. And this really affected Maya. And this was a first because Maya's problems with Cam actually were multiple seasons. Usually at the end of one season it's basically done and next one to the next thing. But Maya basically had problems with relationships and she missed Cam. I know that her problems with Miles and, thinking that Miles was going to kill himself what was it, season 14, I think? 13 or 14. Maya wanted to help Miles because Miles had troubles with his father, and Maya thought that she needed to help somebody. And of course, her mom thought that was a bad idea. Maya said, but I have to save somebody. This is me. Like, her mom agreed, but she told Maya that basically don't endanger yourself for somebody. You know, because she was going to protect Miles from some kind of car crash, and fucking, Miles spilled the beans. Maya wanted to protect Miles because she knew things. But she was basically told by the cops that you can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. But it was manifested. I mean, Maya's problems was because she tried her best to help Cam, and Cam killed himself. So Maya thought that basically, if she doesn't help somebody, then she's useless. And she already lost somebody. She tried to help Cam, and Cam killed himself. So she had something in her head. And, you know, she had the nightmares about Miles jumping to his death and all that. It wasn't that. I think it was supposed to basically be about Cam. That her mind manifested Miles, but it wanted to mean Cam. So I think it was because of Cam, not Miles. And Maya never fully recovered. I mean, she did kind of recover, but no, she didn't really fully recover from Cam's death. I know she was with Sig, but I mean, And anyway, number 1, no doubt, no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's from season 4, Time Stands Still. Basically, I did a whole damn playlist on this. You can see the video on the playlist and go through from 1 to 25, basically talking about the shooting and all that. And thinking all that. You know, it spans like a year and a half, but I mean, yeah. From my first thoughts to basically what I'm thinking now and how the Reddit community and Not a Vampire helped me figure this out for myself. So basically, yeah. I mean, when you spend like 25 videos on a certain topic, well, or whatever, and then like spots within, you know that it has to be number 1. Time Stands Still was basically the culmination of things. As we saw in season 3, Rick had an affection for Terry, but Rick was basically being abusive to her, emotionally and physically. And, of course, it came out ahead when Rick accidentally knocked Terry unconscious with a shove onto a rock, and Terry is in a coma. She survives. She goes to a private school, and basically Rick is out of school, but not expelled. He's basically his mom decides to pull him out because she knows that Rick's about to get his butt handed to him by Spinner, Paige, and everyone else that cared about Terry. And in season 4, Rick came back to Degrassi. He had the audacity in everyone's mind to go back to Degrassi, and the students were not happy. They wanted to prove that Rick should never have been at Degrassi and basically bully him. And the fact of the matter is that Rick would have had tons of sympathy if he never fought back. Time Stands Still was when Rick finally decides to retaliate, and it doesn't work. It just makes Spinner, Jay, and Alex more pissy and decide to destroy him. Those were the only 3 people that were really going to tear Rick a new one. Everyone else just basically fell off. Paige, Jimmy, Hazel, I think they basically just over time realized that Rick wasn't going anywhere. Of course, I know that Time Stands Still had that subplot about Joey's house and all that. But that actually did play a big part, because when Craig is in trouble for trying to help out with the house and by talking to Joey's ex, Sydney, Craig is forced to go to school even though Craig is really sick. And Craig had the unfortunate matter of seeing Jimmy sprawled out in the hallway, almost dead. And, you know, Craig would have been spared that image if he just stayed home. I know that Joey admits that Craig was right about the whole thing. So anyway, yeah, Time Stands Still was basically a culmination. Basically, we see Rick happy, and then basically Spinner, Jay, and Alex make his life a living hell. They put the paint and feathers on him. He feels betrayed. Emma tries to help him. He feels that Emma's willing to help him, so he kisses her, but Emma was just basically protecting Rick because it was the right thing to do, and Rick thinks he was misled, so he basically takes a gun and wants to go after Paige, but Paige calms him down. thankfully, Paige never saw the gun and all that, so Rick thinks he's okay, but Spinner and Jay basically put the bug in Rick's ear that Jimmy was behind it, mostly to get back at Jimmy for abandoning them and all that, and also because Jimmy might be going to Raditch to snitch on Spinner, who basically told Jimmy about his plan. So of course, Jimmy gets shot in the back. Emma nearly dies, but Sean intervenes and survives and accidentally kills Rick in the process. We see lots of emotional, that sadness to anger, mostly from Snake after realizing that Raditch basically had messed up the situation, wasn't taking responsibility for anything. And besides, his stepdaughter almost died. I mean, that would have caused a whole lot of grief if Emma had died. And of course, the aftermath was way big. Lots of characters had big aftermath. Sean had PTSD and couldn't handle the shooting and all that and was worried about things. I still think that he was basically scared that the cops were going to go after him for killing Rick, although it was in an accident, and it was in self-defense because, Rick had a gun. Rick's parents basically never got justice for their son. Basically, everyone jumps to the conclusion that, parents of school shooters shouldn't have any sympathy, and I think they were basically either forced to leave town or put in jail for having a gun that Rick easily got access to. Toby was affected because Toby's only friend was basically a psycho when JT basically left Toby to be friends with Danny, or Liberty's brother as well, and Danny tears JT a new one, and JT apologizes for everything, and JT and Toby stay tight to the end until JT's stabbing. Alex has real problems about it, and although she never got in trouble for her crime, that basically Spinner and Jay kept it secret that Alex had something to do with it, she still punished herself. She could have just confessed to the crime and see what happened and all that. There was a lot of fallout. I mean, the administration, there was a ton of fallout because Raditch basically was, being a tyrant and all that. I think his fate was sealed before the whole Dracula thing, that basically when it was found out that he didn't do anything to help Rick out. Even though Rick is to blame because Rick basically told Raditch nothing. He left out some key information that that Raditch would have used. I mean, yeah, Raditch's job was done. I think he was basically done, and he basically just was at a point of no return and turned Dracula into a musical. Liberty and JT call him out on it. Raditch basically, as almost always, takes things the wrong way and basically gets mad at Liberty and JT, even though they were trying to do some constructive criticism. I mean, the school board did their investigation. Raditch had to confess to everything, because if he didn't confess to everything, how come he just got lucky and was removed and reassigned? If he didn't, it had to be a deal, because if he didn't take the deal, then he would have been at the mercy of a lawsuit and possibly serving jail time, or basically he would have been fired and not allowed to teach at all, and no chance. Of course, Emma had her PTSD and her silence and all that, and basically everyone thought Emma was going to be A-okay, but Emma had secrets and all that, and going to the ravine with Jay was not the best way to solve it, but it did help, because Emma finally realized she needed help, and she got the help she fucking deserves. And of course, Spinner feeling guilty about leading Jimmy along, and basically, in Eye of the Tiger, as was part of his list, he confessed everything. He thought that he needed to come clean and all that, but the guilt got him. And of course, that got him and Jay expelled. They were allowed to come back, but Jay refused. Jay, I think, had it in his mind that the school basically put pressure on Spinner to confess everything, even though Spinner came forward himself. I think they basically, and I think he also thinks that the school was just trying to make a scapegoat, because, someone needed to have a punishment and all that, and it wasn't Rick. So anyway, great to have been talking with you guys for 55 minutes, about 25 episodes. I know some synopsises were short and some were long, just like, Time Stands Still, but, facts are facts. Death is death. And death usually is a big ratings boost for Degrassi. Why? I have no clue. So long, Bear Peterson. Good night.